So this is the Tern HSD 11. It's the first one, not the second gen, and it's got a 250 watt motor. I'm reviewing it, and it's got nothing on it. With all of my locks on the front and my bag and me, I'm 150, and my clothing, it's probably $150. I'm $150, so this is probably about 170 pounds, let's say. It's about 20 pounds of locks and everything, maybe 165. But anyway, this is the frame, the rack, not the frame, the rack battery, which if you take the top off can fit in to the regular battery. This is not compatible, as you can tell. You need a frame mount, and I was able to just use that. And the reason is because I got them for 100 and some odd bucks on eBay, and a new frame mount battery is over $700 with tax and shipping. So that's a little ridiculous, a little iPhone style. That's the way they get you, loss leading. Anyway, I got a nice suspension, but the review here is about my ride in Central Park to test the 400 watt hour pack. The pack's fine. I filled it up the night before. All the lights were showing. Is it a completely new pack? No, but it has been working pretty well. So I wanted to see how much range I really got. So I'm in Central Park. It is a little bit of a wet day on the ground from yesterday's rain, but Central Park has no real lights anyway, and I didn't do any stopping except once, just to pick up something I dropped. There's two hills and really only one big hill, and it's a relatively smooth ride, so it's unimpeded, which I like because that gives you a better sense of range. However, you know, red lights can affect your range, obviously, but far more so with combustion engines than with an electric. So hills are the real killer, and so here's what it is. And it's always nice to walk to ride in the park in the mornings. It's 8 in the morning. It was 8:30 when I started, so that's you can see it's empty right there. And the trip distance was exactly 14.37 miles on turbo the whole time. Now, what I wanted to do was give you a sense of how much. It's 920 right now. I wanted to give you a sense. My max speed was 27, but the real range of speed is when you're going uphill. I get around 16 to 18 miles an hour uphills, and when I'm going downhill, I can go anywhere from 25 to 27 miles an hour downhill, 24 even. On flats, I'm doing 23 miles an hour on turbo. And just to give you a sense of my own fitness, I do go to the gym and I ride on a stationary bike. Usually I do about 10 minutes, and when I start out, I'll be anywhere from 130 watts to 120, let's say 120 to 130 watts, but that's pretty tame. If I'm really tired, I'll be doing about 100 watts, maybe 95 to maybe more like 110 watts. And normally when I'm going, after about a minute or two, I'm doing about 135 watts, and I can be doing upwards of 145 watts, and easily a lot more than that. And when I get on the pedals, I'm doing up to about 225 watts when I'm standing, and my cadence will go from anywhere from like 80 when I'm slow and tired, averaging about 90 usually, and up to 100 when I'm you know, kind of in the groove, and when I'm standing, I'll do about 70. So I'm putting in here, I was probably doing about 100 watts the whole way. Seat's very comfortable, but frankly it's a little too wide for me here. This isn't a particularly wide seat, but it's just too wide for me, so I was getting a little bit of you know, sort of upper hamstring kind of bumping, if you know what that feels like. It's kind of just annoying to your hamstrings a little bit, or the crease of your butt. So basically, yeah, you know, that's very fast, and the bike sort of accommodates you on hills. And you know, once you get above 21 miles an hour, you really feel the wind. I'm in a very upright position. The wind really kicks in, so you're spending a lot more energy against the wind. So even on downhills on a bike like this, because you speed up, you're really fighting the wind a lot. The average speed says 19.8, but honestly, I think considering I stopped very briefly once and a few other things, I felt like the average speed was at least a mile higher than that. Trip time's 43, and I did 2 times around Central Park from 72nd Street all the way around and on the west side, and now I wound up on the east side. This is about, I think, 79th Street, maybe a few blocks up, 82nd Street maybe. No, this is 84th Street right here. This is exactly 84th Street by the Temple of Dendor, the Egyptian part of the Met. Really a wonderful place. So 43 minutes to go 2.5 times around Central Park. Not even 2.5, but almost 2 1/3, let's say. 14.3 miles. miles. And the range in the beginning, so that was important. The range said on turbo would give me 22 miles, and it gave me 14.3. I'm putting in about 100 watts for 43 minutes, so I probably put in about 70 watt hours on the trip, and this is supposed to be a 400 watt hour pack. Let's say, let's give it a little. Let's say it's used up a little bit and whatever. So let's say, to get around Central Park, 14.3 miles, 2 hills. Let's say that gives 370 watts, and I put in 70. Let's say 440 watt hours for 14.3 miles. I don't know. That's roughly not quite. It wouldn't even be like 25 watt hours a mile, which is not particularly efficient. When you think about it, if every 4 miles is 100 watt hours, yeah, it's about that probably, because max is like 400. That's 4 times 4. That should give me 16 miles. It's not even doing that, right? If every 4 miles is, I'm thinking about the battery, but if it was mile wise, let's say 25 watt hours, let's say 100 watt hours for every 4 miles. If it's 14.3, that would be 350 or so. That would be even less. I was calculating I have 70 in my legs and about 370 in that. So if that's the case, then it's giving me even less than 25 watt hours a mile. But then again, remember, I'm doing a lot of the time going down hills, I'm doing 26 miles an hour. I mean, it's fast, really fast. That's really, really fast. I don't actually have a helmet on, and I'm just riding like this. So I'm being very careful, generally speaking, but I am in Central Park too, so you really have to be careful on the southern parts where there's more people. The bike handles the turns amazingly well. In fact, the most dangerous part of the park really for speed is the northern downhill heading into the huge great hill, the uphill, and this does admirably. You feel very stable, and you have a lot of traction on the ground even when it's wet. No leaves, but there is water on the ground a little bit, and so it's really great. So that's my overall review of the bike, and I have to say that I'm very pleased with the whole thing. I'm going to get a 500 watt hour mostly new frame pack, and I'll test that. But again, I'm on turbo, and I'm sure you're getting a lot more on not turbo, but I really did want to test how much you get. So maybe you're getting 3 to 3.5, maybe 3.5 miles for every 100 watt hours, which is really not great on turbo. And a lot of that is that you realize when you want to do higher speeds, your aerodynamics are going to be key. But this bike is not really about high speeds. In fact, it's surprising that it can even go this fast. This bike is really for carrying kids on it a lot of the time. You see people buying this bike to carry kids around. The bike's not rated to carry an adult on the back, but you certainly can carry an adult on the back. They're just overly conservative. You can get little foot rests and a bar in the back. You can even buy what's called the captain's chair. It's not big enough for an adult, as I've seen it, but you really could ferry people around on this. And in New York City, that's about to have a congestion pricing below 63rd Street, adding $15 just to get into downtown New York. Cab rides are going to go up quite a bit, and if you want to avoid the subway and get around fast, it might be always fun to have room for a passenger on the back. That said, this bike's not really ideal for that, but it is really, really responsive. You really feel, one thing I wanted to point out is that when you press the gears here, when you're going uphill and downhill, the bike's extremely responsive to the amount of torque you're putting in. So it really there's no lag. You will find lag with almost every other pedal assisted bike in the sensors, almost. I mean, I've found a few that are pretty good, but there's really no lag and no jumpy kick in. It's a smooth assist that and it just really nice. So I would say that that's the way to go. Yeah, great bike.